Folks used to say that Tesla was misunderstood as a car company when it was really, an energy and tech company. Could it be the same for it being an AI company in the future? Could that bolster the long-term argument?
It's very difficult, I think, for outsiders to really know who ultimately will win this race, and then if the race is won, how significant the economic windfall will be from that race.
Hey, I'm Stephen and this is Solving the Money Problem. If you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, the Tesla AI Day videos continue to flow and there'll be many more to come. We are just getting started. Speaking of keeping my promises, Optimus Bot merch, done and dusted. I wasn't joking around when I said it was a limited time only, so thanks to everybody for supporting the channel and picking up some merch, but there's no more available, so if you missed out, rip you. Per the title of today's video, the shockwaves from Tesla's AI Day continue to ripple throughout the world, and I'm going to be reacting to some really surprising, and I'll be honest, semi-impressive comments from both a mainstream media anchor and a Tesla stock analyst who's been extremely skeptical of the company. So let's get into the video. If you love crypto, stocks, and free stuff, or just want to help out the channel, check out these great offers. BlockFi are launching the world's first Bitcoin rewards credit card. People in the US can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase with no annual fee using the BlockFi Bitcoin rewards credit card. Check out the link in the description. And for a limited time, you can get up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, where you can use cryptocurrency to earn interest, borrow cash, and buy or sell crypto. If you want your free crypto, use the link in the description. And if you'd like up to 2 free stocks, check out the link in the description to WeBull. If you open a new account, you'll get 1 free stock valued up to $300 just for opening an account. And if you make an initial deposit of $5 or more, you'll get a second free stock valued up to $2,000. Seriously. Free stocks? Yes, please. And finally, if you're in Australia, the UK, or New Zealand, you can get a free stock with stake, also linked in the description. Thanks so much for your support, guys. Let's get back to it.
Folks used to say that Tesla was misunderstood as a car company when it was really, an energy and tech company. Could it be the same for it being an AI company in the future? Could that bolster the long-term argument?
Now, I'm going to be honest here. From an anchor on CNBC, part of the mainstream finance media, particularly CNBC, this is an incredibly impressive question. 2 reasons. First of all, she's openly implying that people have misunderstood Tesla in the past, assuming they were just an automotive company when in fact they were an energy and technology company. This is correct. Round of applause. I mean, this is impressive. Most people still think Tesla is an automotive company. The fact that she's even mentioned this and not only just said people misunderstood Tesla, but explained how they misunderstood Tesla so far, really impressive. I'm serious, by the way. I'm not being condescending. I'm extremely impressed. And more impressive still is the fact that this question was just laying the groundwork for the follow-up. In other words, is it likely that Tesla will be once again misunderstood and people will fail to recognize that they're evolving and transforming into an artificial intelligence company? And now let's hear the response from one of our favorite Tesla stock analysts, Toni. Tesla stock valuation makes no sense, Sacconaghi. Oh, and just for the record, Toni has recently almost doubled his Tesla stock price target from $180 to $300 per share, suggesting only about a 55% downside from where we are today. Toni, you're getting closer, my friend. Just maybe double it once or twice more and you'll be pretty much in the ballpark. Good to see some progress being made here from our friend Toni.
Folks used to say that Tesla was misunderstood as a car company when it was really, an energy and tech company. Could it be the same for it being an AI company in the future? Could that bolster the long-term argument?
Well, I think that's the big debate about the stock is clearly Tesla and many other well-capitalized companies and startup companies are all investing in full self-driving or autonomy, and to do so, they're using AI. And this is a bit of a race, but many people are looking at it, and clearly, Tesla in many ways has differentiated itself historically on the basis of technology, on the basis of delivering, a battery that had longer range, on the basis of delivering cars that had really unique software and electronics inside of them. And so I think Tesla has always somewhat been viewed as a technology company. The big debate ultimately is how quickly does one get to autonomous cars? And once one gets there, does anyone really have a sustainable advantage that they can command huge price for a long period of time? And I think that's really where the bulls and bears probably, disagree most.
Now, I hate to be so obnoxious. Actually, who am I kidding? I don't give a f***. I'm happy to be obnoxious. There is no question that Tesla has a long-term sustainable advantage in terms of their autonomous strategy. They will be the first to solve autonomy, and they will forever be in an unassailable lead with far safer autonomous software than anyone else on the planet. Now, back to the me being obnoxious part, obnoxiously accurate, let me explain something here. The only people that do not understand that this is the way things play out are people who do not understand either neural networks, deep learning, Tesla's approach to vision, their strategy, their fleet, how important the data is, or some combination thereof. This is an entire video in and of itself. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to make a video explaining in detail why Tesla's full self-driving software lead is unassailable. But the short version is as follows. Number one, they have the world's leading computer vision expert, Andrej Karpathy, leading the charge. 2, they have the world's best engineers working on this problem and literally just held an event with the sole purpose of recruiting even more of them. 3, they have the world's most advanced computer vision training system, including 4D labeling in vector space, which no one else is doing. 4, they have the world's most advanced full self-driving chip and the world's most advanced neural networks for training Tesla vision to get even better. 5, they have the world's most advanced data engine, including auto labeling, and most important of all, they have the fleet. Let's talk more in depth about Tesla's fleet. Every single vehicle Tesla has produced for more than the last half decade has a suite of sensors, cameras included in the vehicle that's collecting data and able to train Tesla's full self-driving software to get better. There's about 2 million of these vehicles on the roads today, and Tesla's fleet is growing exponentially. By this time next year, that's going to be well in excess of 3 million vehicles, probably closer to 3.5 million vehicles collecting data to improve Tesla's full self-driving software, collecting edge cases, and training the software to get even better. Now, think with me here, guys. All other things being equal, and let's be honest, they're not equal. Tesla's miles ahead on all the other things as well, but all other things being equal, just hypothetically speaking, the way that this race is not only won, but a lead is maintained, is by having more data. That is the key variable. Now, who else has Tesla's fleet? Nobody. In fact, nobody else even has a fleet of any meaningful scale. Waymo, it's a joke. Cruise, it's a joke. They don't even count. Ford aren't putting sensors on their vehicles. GM aren't putting sensors on their vehicles. Nobody else even has a fleet to collect the data to even begin competing with Tesla. So, to recap, Tesla has a fleet. No one else even has a fleet. Tesla's fleet is growing exponentially. Nobody else's fleet is growing at all because they don't even have one. By mid-decade, Tesla will have around 15 million vehicles on roads continuing to collect data and improve their full self-driving software. By the end of decade, this will be over 100 million vehicles. Not joking, do the numbers yourself. Tesla gets to 20 million vehicles by the end of this decade. That means their existing fleet is well in excess of 100 million vehicles. So, all other things being equal, which again, I've said they're not, but let's assume somehow that somebody could hire all of Tesla's talent and get their own chips and blah, blah, blah. Not going to happen, but hey, let's just pretend in a fairy tale land, maybe that's possible. How would another company actually compete with Tesla and accumulate a similar, comparable amount of data? Well, they'd simply need to build around 100, 110 million electric vehicles covered in a suite of sensors worth, say, a few $1,000s each per vehicle and get to that scale by the end of this decade just to be able to match Tesla on the data. And now, here's 3 reasons why this ain't gonna fucking happen. Today, every single legacy automotive manufacturer in existence is too fucking stupid to realize they even need to start doing this. They don't even realize they need to start embedding sensors on all of their vehicles produced from today so they have a chance of catching up to Tesla in terms of data. They're too dumb to even know what they need to do. Number 2, they literally can't afford to do this. Bit of a rock and a hard place. They can't afford to do it and they can't afford not to. Let's think about this for a moment. Volkswagen's selling roughly 10 million vehicles per year. The sensors, roughly $3,000 worth of cameras required for each vehicle. Let's just say that VW is like, well, we're in big trouble here. You know what? Why don't we put sensors on just 1/4 of the vehicles we produce, on 2.5 million vehicles, so we can start catching up to Tesla, maybe even get ahead of them over time. How much will that cost? $3,000 per sensor suite, 2.5 million vehicles. That's about $7.5 billion of additional expense for the business. For those of you keeping score at home, Volkswagen's full year profit for the entire year of 2020 was less than $10 billion. Let me ask you a question. In what universe can you conceive of where the Volkswagen board and shareholders are going to vote in favor of eviscerating the company's profits for years to come to collect some silly data for this silly full self-driving thing? It's not going to happen. Number 3, the longer they wait, the bigger Tesla's fleet and the smaller their fleet. What do I mean by this? Well, Tesla, as we know, is growing their production exponentially. What does that mean? More and more people are buying a Tesla every year. That means less and less people are buying a Volkswagen, a Ford, a Toyota, a Hyundai, etc., right? Tesla is systematically eating the lunch of legacy automakers. Here's how this plays out over the next decade. Practically every year from now until the end of this decade, you'll see Volkswagen, General Motors, Ford, name your automaker, name your legacy automaker, selling less vehicles year over year than they did in the previous year, while Tesla sells more and more vehicles year over year, as do many other new EV startups. The point here is that by the end of the decade, the likes of Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors will be doing volumes of a few 100,000, maybe 1 million or 2 million vehicles per year at maximum, if they haven't gone out of business. The point is, there's a tiny window of time in the next few years, in the first half of this decade, where legacy automakers have any conceivable means of beginning to collect enough data to feasibly, theoretically catch up to Tesla's data lead. The only way they do this is to immediately begin embedding thousands of dollars worth of sensors on every single vehicle they produce from now until the end of time, and somehow still maintain similar vehicle volumes to what they're producing today, while Tesla and other EV makers are starting to eat their lunch. It doesn't happen. In summary, 1, they're too dumb to realize they need to do it. 2, they can't afford to do it and they can't afford not to do it. And 3, the window is rapidly closing for them to execute on this anyway. This does not end well. Today, Tesla has the fleet and therefore the data. Tomorrow, Tesla has an even bigger fleet and even more data, and this is the way things play out. This is why I can so arrogantly claim that in 10, 15, 20 plus years time, Tesla will still have an unassailable lead, the most data, and therefore the best, safest full self-driving software. Now, yes, others can catch up to where Tesla is today, and in fact can be better than Tesla is today in a distant point in the future, but the point is, no one will ever overtake Tesla's lead. And when it comes to safety, a lot of people actually care. Numbers matter. If Tesla can prove unequivocally with data that their full self-driving software means you're 10 times less likely to be permanently injured or die in a fatal accident, I'm willing to bet that quite a few consumers will think to themselves, well, hey, you know, this whole not being dead thing, I'm a big fan of it, so you know what, I'm never getting in another fucking vehicle again. If it ain't a Tesla, I'm not taking that chance of being 10 times more likely to die. No way. Now, I understand this won't be every single consumer on planet Earth. I know there's people today doing their best to perpetuate natural selection who voluntarily choose not to wear seatbelts when driving in passenger vehicles at high speeds. There's also people who love to ride motorcycles even though they know the inherent risks. But I fancy that most consumers overall are going to value safety, especially when there is such an enormous difference between one full self-driving software versus another. To give you guys a little bit of a sense of how this may play out, let me ask a question to all the parents watching. If you're putting your children, your son, your daughter in a robo-taxi to go to school, and you have evidence, unequivocal data, that robo-taxi A from General Motors is 10 times more likely to kill your child than robo-taxi B from Tesla, and they cost the same, they're equivalent in price, which robo-taxi are you more likely to use to get your child to and from school? To be honest, I think in the distant future, there's actually not going to be too many autonomous software options for consumers to choose from anyway. Why do I say this? Pretty simple. Tesla's lead is unassailable. They're going to be safer than everyone else, period. There's no point even trying to catch up with Tesla. If you're an automaker who wants to deploy autonomous software in the future, you're late, you didn't start putting sensors on your vehicles, you can't join the race, you've got no conceivable way of catching up to Tesla, and you're still struggling to stay in business, you're trying to just survive the decade, why not just license Tesla software and get on with the business of not going bankrupt? I think this is how things play out.
Right, and a lot has been made over the dancing man in last night's presentation, but technology, AI has advantages that aren't immediately obvious, and could its positioning in AI lead to advantages beyond FSD, which many are skeptical on? I mean, I was talking to Phil LeBeau about this, look to earlier this year, its focus on technology and engineers allowed it to redesign its software for different chips, which turned out to be a big advantage versus the other automakers.
Yeah, look, I think some of the work that Tesla's doing with neural nets can get more broadly extended over time. And so that remains to be seen, and I think some investors would say there's option value in Tesla doing research in that, in pushing its application towards autonomous driving, but beyond that.
I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of impressed here. A Wall Street stock analyst, a guy who until recently had a $180 price target on Tesla stock, just for the record, has just used the word neural network in the same sentence as Tesla. And in addition to that, acknowledged that Tesla's artificial intelligence technology may be more broadly applicable than just full self-driving. I'm genuinely impressed.
But I think more generally, that's the case with, you know, the Googles of the world, the Apples of the world who are focused on autonomy, the Baidus of the world, you know, the Cruise automations of the world. There are many, many people that are pursuing this, and I think the consequence of neural net technology and artificial intelligence is it's probably broadly extendable. And, it's very difficult, I think, for outsiders to really know who ultimately will win this race. And then if the race is won, how significant the economic windfall will be from that race.
Now, I don't want to be too hard on Tony here. He does kind of have a point. If you don't have any idea about artificial intelligence, neural network, computer vision, machine, like blah, 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 if that's outside your area of expertise, if you're just an automotive analyst, I can understand here. It is a little bit difficult to understand who's in the lead, who's going to win the race. But if you do have a bit of a grounding in these technologies, it's actually extremely, painfully, astonishingly obvious that Tesla has won the race and no one else is even close.
Tony, one thing we hear a little bit today is if only they put the energy they're putting into these robots into cars. Why not put that energy into cars? On the other hand, it's clearly being valued as...
I think we have a new contender for the dumbest thing I've ever heard said by anyone on the CNBS panel. I'm not sure this was a thought from the anchor himself or he was just reiterating something he may have heard, but can we please just think about this for a moment? Tesla is like eating the lunch of every car in every category it's made. It's winning the awards, all the awards, literally all of them, best car ever, best car of the year, blah, 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 all the awards. It's selling every single vehicle it makes. It has far more demand than it actually meets. It's continuing consistently to lower the price of its vehicles and increase the performance, features, and functionality. What more could Tesla be doing in terms of focusing on automotive? This is a serious question. The answer is literally nothing.
Something other or more than an automaker. Why not look beyond autos themselves? Which is the more compelling argument?
Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but I do think you have to, jog before you run or walk before you run. And there is potentially tremendous value from full self-driving. Today Tesla charges $10,000 for the feature. Only about 10 to 15% of customers actually purchase that. If that number were to go to 70%, that would be an extra $6,000 on average per car, all pure profit. And so that's an enormous opportunity.
Can you guys hear that? I think Toni Sacconaghi is slowly starting to wake from his slumber.
I think more broader applications like the Tesla bot and AI are further down the road, and perhaps they create some option value. But there is real value, and we can quantify it, and we see it today, if they're able to develop the capability in FSD that is compelling enough that more and more people want to buy it. And if they can get there first, then they can accrue returns uniquely to themselves for a long period of time. If ultimately they get distracted and others get to full self-driving first, then Tesla could lose some of its competitive advantages today and ultimately could lose some of the pricing power that it ultimately may have on full self-driving today.
So Tony, who do you think does get to full self-driving first? I mean, the automakers clearly, once they turn it on, will have a lot of miles to draw from, but you also look at companies, you mentioned Baidu, a Chinese company, Waymo, that has their eye on this. Who's likely to sort of unseat Tesla here?
Well, look, I think our contention is there's so much intelligence and dollars working on this problem, and it's not a finite end state. So Elon, I think, very rightly talked about nines of reliability. So 99.9% of the time it's reliable, or 99.99 or 99.999. The goal, obviously, is to make these systems as foolproof as possible over time. And it's a continuum. It's not like we're going to wake up one day and all of a sudden someone's going to announce full self-driving. They'll get better and better over time, and hopefully regulators will get more and more comfortable approving and allowing for full self-driving at level 4 or level 5 to take effect. So I would say point one is it's not an end state. It's a gradual continuum. I think point two, I don't think anyone is going to outright win.
Hey Tony, sorry to rain on your parade here, dude. You said some reasonable things there, but now you've gone a little bit off the rails. Google won search because they had the data lead. Amazon won online retail because they had the data lead. And yep, that's right, you know where this one is going. Tesla has won autonomy because they have the data lead.
I think the history of technology in automobiles is that, first movers on airbags or anti-lock brakes, command a premium, and then everyone else is able to ultimately follow at some point in time. And I think that will be the same with autonomous driving.
Oh, Tony. Oh man, I feel bad. Airbags, anti-lock brakes, they're hardware. Data isn't critical to winning the race there. They're just hardware technology. This is not the same with Hey, at least he's making some improvements. Tony is starting to wake up a little bit from his slumber. Not there yet, but hey, Tony's making progress. Round of applause for Toni Sacconaghi. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And by the way, if you did, a new feature has just been enabled on this YouTube channel called Thanks. You'll find it near the like button down the bottom. I haven't tried this feature out yet, but you guys are welcome to investigate and be the first guinea pigs to check it out. But in either case, I have to say, I am genuinely impressed to hear the kind of questions from the original CNBS anchor here, asking about Tesla being misperceived. People thought they were an automotive company when really they were energy and technology. And now again, posing the question, could the same thing be true of people misunderstanding that Tesla is now evolving into an AI company? And I've got to say, Toni Sacconaghi is making some progress here. Admittedly, he's still pretty slow, but then again, until very recently, he did have a $180 price target on Tesla stock, so we can't expect him to wake up in a single day. In either case, this is progress, and I'm happy to see it. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan, this is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. And don't forget the BlockFi Bitcoin Rewards credit card, where you can earn 1.5% Bitcoin back on every purchase. There's a link in the description. You can also earn up to $250 in crypto bonuses when funding a new account on BlockFi, also linked below. And finally, don't forget your free stocks with WeBull and Stake, also linked in the description. These great offers also help out the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you have any ideas for future videos, let me know. I read all your comments. P.S. If you're still watching, you're awesome. If you'd like early access, exclusive videos, regular Q&As, our private Discord server and more, consider supporting the channel at patreon.com/solvingthemoneyproblem so I can keep creating content for you guys. There's a link in the description. You can now also become a member of the channel for some exclusive perks. To learn more, click the join button next to subscribe. And don't forget to check out our merch store. Either way, the best form of support is you being here and watching, so thanks again.